Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Curbside with Kids and Cars here at Bell Children's Medical Center in Austin, Texas. Today we're going to show you how you can install your convertible car seat rear facing either with the lower anchors or with the seatbelt.
Now, today we'll be using an Evenflo convertible for demonstration, but it's important to note that even though you might have a different car seat that you're working with, many of the same principles and techniques will apply. So let's give it over to Drew, who will get us started with installation using the lower anchors.
Okay, so let's first discuss how to install this car seat using the lower anchors. The first thing that we want to check for is ensuring that the lower anchors are in the proper belt path. There are two options for this car seat because it's a convertible. We have this belt path here, which the lower anchors are in now, and we have this one here. We can see written on the car seat, stamped on the shell, that this says we should be using this belt path for the rear facing installation and this other belt path for forward facing installation. You can also, a quick tip is to see which belt path is closer to the upright portion of the vehicle seat, and that's the belt path that you want to be using. So let's go ahead and first move the lower anchors to the proper belt path before we install it.
The first thing to do is to loosen the harness so you have plenty of room to work with. And then remove the fabric of the car seat. This exposes the strap for the lower anchors, which we can see here across the back. Simply pull them out of the belt path and then move it in front of the harness system. Those three straps you see there are the harness system. And then simply slide it out the proper belt path. You want to make sure that it's not twisted in any way and that it lays flat across the shell of the car seat. You also want to double check that it is in front of all three harness straps. We can see here 1, 2, and 3. And it's out the other side. Then simply reattach the fabric of the car seat and you're good to go.
Okay, so now that we have our lower anchors in the proper belt path, we want to make sure one more thing about this car seat is ready to go for rear facing, and that's the foot on the bottom of the car seat. If you take a look at the car seat here with the foot in its current position, you can see that the seat is super upright, and that's not what we want for newborn babies. We want them to be reclined. So at the bottom of the car seat, you'll have a foot, and you want to bring it all the way forward toward baby's feet. And then you can see now that the seat is much more reclined and at a better angle to cradle baby properly in the car seat. Okay, so now let's find where our lower anchors are going to attach in the vehicle. If we look down to the bite of the seat here, near where the seatbelt buckle is, we see the metal bar behind there, that black metal bar. We also see this plastic button on the car seat, and then we have the same setup on this far side. So we know that this seat is equipped to be used with a lower anchor system. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove them from the seat, one on each side. And we want to make sure that we have plenty of slack in the harness so that it's easy to work with. Okay, so now let's remove our anchors, one from each side. And we want to make sure we have plenty of slack in it so that it's easy to work with. So you want to take all that slack out, and now we're good to go. If your lower anchors look like this, you want to make sure that the clip portion is in this orientation as it's clicked into the car seat, okay? So the bottom gate here is at the bottom after it's been installed, okay? So we can bring it down here and click it in. And you want to make sure you hear a click as it's going in, okay? So now that that one's done, we want to come to this side and do this one, making sure that it's not twisted or folded in any way. So now let's go ahead and tighten the seat down. What we like to do is first make sure the seat is more or less in the right position that we want it to be in, and then we can push down with one hand and pull on the tightening strap. This car seat anchor system only has one tightening strap on it, but if yours has two, make sure you're pulling them evenly or in the order that your manufacturer dictates in the manual, okay? So we're pushing down on the bite of the seat, and then we're pulling up on the strap for the lower anchor, okay? Now that we've gotten it fairly tight and snug, we want to go ahead and give it a test. So I'm gonna put my hand right where the belt path is. So we have the lower anchor going in right here. We're gonna grab on that belt path, and then we wanna give it like a firm handshake. You see that the seat is still far too loose. So if you're unable to get a proper install the first time around, one thing that we like to do is we can pull back the fabric of the seat, and if we look down here, we can see the lower anchor strap running underneath here. We can take the tightening portion and run it along parallel to that strap, which is going to give us a bit more leverage for tightening down the seat, okay? Now, just before we want to push into the car seat, but making sure that we're pushing down near where baby's bottom would go in the bite of the car seat to make sure we're doing our best to maintain that good recline angle, okay? So now that we're pushing down, we can pull up on the strap to tighten. Give it another test. Then we can see at the belt path, it's not moving side to side or front to back more than an inch, okay? So then we can reinstall the fabric, just a couple of plastic clips. And then the last thing to do, of course, as your baby is riding rear facing, is making sure they have a proper recline angle. And on this seat, there's just an arrow printed into the shell of the seat. And we can see that right here. Now, we want this line to be level with the ground outside the vehicle, and in this case, it's not. So one thing that we can do to make sure we have that proper recline angle is to double check that your car seat manufacturer allows this in your specific seat's manual, but we can put either a rolled up towel or a pool noodle in the bite of the vehicle seat right down here where the foot is to make sure that we have a proper recline angle. Let me show you what that looks like.
Okay, thanks Drew for showing us how to install using the lower anchors. Now let's take a look at how we would install using this seat belt. Okay, so first off, what I want to do is find that belt path like Drew showed us earlier. So right here is where I want this seat belt to be coming through. So what I'll do is take this seat belt, and I want to make sure that it's nice and flat, no twists in it. And I want to give myself a little bit of slack. I don't want to pull it all the way out, but I want to have enough slack to slide through. So I'm going to place my hand underneath. Now I want to make sure that my seat belt is going in front of all of this harness, okay? Because if I have it routed through behind, I'm not going to be able to get my seat in nice and tight. I want to make sure it's nice and flat and in front of this crotch buckle and harness material. So I'm going to push through, feel through the other side, pull straight through, and clip in, just like that, okay? So I want to pull this slack out here, adjust the seat a little bit. Now, my seatbelt is not locked, okay? So if I were to test to see if we're installed, we're not installed correctly, okay? The seatbelt might be attached, but it is not locked or secure in place. So how I do that is I want to take this seatbelt and I want to pull all the way out until you hear a click. Now, my seatbelt should switch over to locking mode, and I should be able to hear this clicking back in. That means when I pull back out, I'm not going to get any more slack back out. So I want to let it go. Still super loose, right? So what we want to do is, like Drew showed us, we want to put our hand in the bite of this car seat, and I want to pull out. I want to get all this slack out and back up into this retractor right here, okay? Because I want this seat nice and secure, not moving more than an inch side to side or front to back. Okay, when I feel like I've done that, I want to test it at the belt path and move it side to side and front to back. And if it's not moving more than an inch, you're good to go. Now, that being said, with this seat, I want to make sure I look at my recline angle. Now that seems to be a little bit off, right? So that arrow is not parallel to the ground outside. So what I would need to do is get that pool noodle, just like Drew showed you, and put it in the bite underneath this recline foot right here to help us achieve a little bit better of a recline angle, okay? And then you're good to go. Let's take a look. Now we've installed with the pool noodle under the reclined foot in the bite of the vehicle seat. We're still not moving more than an inch side to side, front to back. And when we check our recline angle, right here etched into the seat, it's perfect, parallel with the ground. And now baby's safe, ready to ride.
So there's a look at installation of a convertible in its rear-facing mode. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them down below. And if you have any topics that you'd like to see covered in future videos, we definitely love to know about that.
And don't forget to join us next week where we'll cover forward-facing installation using the same convertible car seat because it is a little bit different, so you won't want to miss it. And remember, your child matters, their car seat does too. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.